Right now, you're thinking about tomorrow. Maybe it is what you will eat. Maybe it is a meeting you're dreading. Maybe it is something you're looking forward to next week, next year, or 10 years from now. You do this so naturally, so automatically, that it feels like breathing. You have no idea how strange it actually is. No other animal on Earth does what you just did. A crow can solve a puzzle. A dolphin can recognize itself in a mirror. A chimpanzee can learn hundreds of symbols and use them to communicate. But not one of them lies awake at night worrying about next Tuesday. Not one of them plans a trip they won't take for 6 months. Not one of them imagines a version of the future that does not exist yet, and then works backward to make it real. You do this constantly, and for most of human history, your ancestors did not. There was a specific moment, not a gradual drift, not a slow cultural shift, but an identifiable rupture in time when something changed inside the human mind. When a brain that had only ever lived in the present suddenly reached forward and grabbed the future, that moment changed everything. It is the reason you are sitting where you are right now. Researchers call it behavioral modernity. Thomas Wynne and Frederick Coolidge, two cognitive scientists who spent decades studying the archaeology of the mind, identified it as one of the most dramatic cognitive leaps in the 4 million-year story of human evolution. It was not about getting smarter in the way we usually mean. The humans who came before were not stupid. They made tools. They survived ice ages. They buried their dead. But their thinking was almost entirely anchored in the present moment. Then something shifted. The evidence shows up in the archaeological record around 70,000 to 100,000 years ago, concentrated in the coastal caves of what is now South Africa. Blombos Cave, Pinnacle Point, sites where researchers began finding things that had never appeared before anywhere on Earth. Ochre, carved with geometric patterns that served no practical purpose. Shells with holes bored through them, strung together and worn as jewelry. Pigment mixed and stored in abalone shells, the world's first paint kit, preserved for 100,000 years. None of these things help you survive today. Every one of them requires you to think about tomorrow. To make jewelry, you have to imagine how you will look wearing it. You have to care about what someone else will think of you in the future. To mix and store pigment, you have to plan for a use that has not happened yet. To carve a pattern onto stone for no functional reason, you have to hold an idea in your mind, a concept of beauty, of meaning, of something that exists beyond the immediate moment, and then bring it into the physical world. That is not just intelligence. That is something else entirely. Researchers call it mental time travel. Endel Tulving, a neuroscientist who devoted his career to memory and consciousness, proposed that the human mind evolved a unique ability to mentally project itself forward and backward in time, to remember the past not just as data, but as a relived experience, to imagine the future not just as a guess, but as something you can actually inhabit, explore, and plan within. No other species shows convincing evidence of this. It is, Tulving argued, the defining feature of human consciousness, and once it switched on, it could not be switched off. Suddenly, a human standing on a coastline 80,000 years ago could do something no creature had ever done. They could look at a piece of ochre, hold an image in their mind of what it could become, and begin the process of making that image real. They could look at their group and think about what would happen if they did not prepare for winter. They could look at their children and imagine the adults those children might become. They invented the future, And with it, they invented everything else. Every tool ever engineered, every crop ever planted, every city ever built, every book ever written, every plan, every dream, every promise, every fear about what comes next. All of it descends from that first rupture, that first moment when a human brain leaned forward in time and refused to stay in the present. The fossils are still there. The carved ochre is still there. The 100,000-year-old shell beads are still there, sitting in museum cases, staring back at you. And here is what should stop you cold. The person who made them was not smarter than you. They were not a different species at a different stage of evolution. The brain they had is the brain you have. The same mental time travel that let them imagine what a shell would look like threaded on a cord is the same mechanism that lets you imagine what your life will look like in 5 years. The same capacity for holding a future image in your mind and working backward toward it that is running inside you right now. The same code, barely altered in 100,000 years. Every time you make a plan, you are doing what they did. Every time you worry about something that has not happened yet, you are using the same machinery they used to survive the Ice Age. Every time you imagine a better version of your life and feel the pull toward it, that pull is ancient. That pull is the thing that separated your ancestors from every other animal on the planet. That pull is the reason the species survived. Right now, somewhere in the world, you will probably think about tomorrow again before you sleep tonight. That is not a small thing. That is the most powerful trick a brain has ever learned. And it started 100,000 years ago in a cave on a coastline when a human picked up a piece of ochre and thought not about what it was, but about what it could become.
Thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe for more such amazing content.